Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Tuned and Strong podcast. This is Angela McCuiston of Music Strong.
And this is Dr. Jen Cabas May of Tuned and Toned Performance.
And today we were going to talk a little bit about. I know we've done a lot. We were commenting on. We've done a lot of negative topics lately, and we're like, yeah, let's do something positive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so with depending on where you're listening to this, like which application you're listening on, it's either we're heading into January or it's the end of January into February. And we thought it might be a good time to talk about consistency and just personal resiliency um, in the gym. And especially for if you're either getting back into it or if you're just starting for the first time. I apologize on my end. We're going to have some color commentary from cats. It's going to happen. Um,
Yay!
it's it's morning my time. They're awake right now. Anyway, so Angela, you were talking about just the kind of consistency of getting back into the gym, and I think that's a good place to lead into it. It's something I'm going to have to deal with in a couple weeks too. I've had to take some time off for some reasons. So
Yeah, for sure. So I posted something on my social media channels a little while back that said, it was a graphic that said, comparison is the thief of joy. I know you've heard of this before. I mean, it's
Oh
clear,
yeah.
but it's just been something I've been dealing with because for whatever reason, I caught myself going through this cycle of comparing myself to me previously,
Right.
why am I, not just how I look, but my workouts, my regimen,
Yes.
everything.
Hmm.
That's not really fair.
No.
So the point I was making at that point was I was thinking about when I was in graduate school,
Hmm.
really hit my stride. Like I was
Yeah.
losing weight because I wanted to, and I found out what I needed to do. And I hit my groove, and it was easy. And then every morning I got up, I walked
Hmm.
how far it was to the gym. I did my workout. I walked back. I planned what I was going to eat on my way back. And then I just
Yeah.
did it. And then I went to class. It was all planned out and it was easy, but there
Yep.
was structure. And now I'm an entrepreneur. There's no structure in my life. I can create as much structure as I can try to, but
Right.
I don't have a graduate school structure life. I don't.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
not going to have it. And that's
Right.
okay. So,
Hmm.
trying to compare, well, I did this and I could get back to that. And stop. So
Yeah.
here we are on a couple years past all the foot injury and the hip injury and the
Yeah.
hamstring injury and the gallbladder surgery and the okay, that's all done. I'm all healed. We're fine. But instead of trying to compare myself to where I was and I should do this, and I'm looking back over my workout journals going, yeah, I was doing 3 sets of 5 and 4 sets of 5, blah, 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 blah. It's okay. It's like I'm
Hmm.
realizing that is robbing me of progress. It's like it is okay. Think like what back when I'm thinking like when
Yeah.
I'm training my beginner clients.
Yeah.
You start them out with one set. You start them out
Hmm.
with 2 sets. That's it.
Hmm.
You don't give them a bajillion things to do.
Right.
You just get back into it. I'm like, it's okay to be a beginner, and it doesn't feel right. I feel like I'm not doing enough, but at the same time, I know
Yeah.
I've just got to build the consistency habit and give
Yeah.
myself credit for doing something and doing, hey, maybe I'm just going to do these 3 exercises for 2 sets each. And hey, guess
Hmm.
what? I did that 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing anything. Okay, this is progress. This is good. Give yourself
Yeah.
credit.
Right, right. And from a coaching perspective, so I'll do it from a coaching perspective and then different. But from a coaching perspective, it's kind of insane, right? Because you would never, even if you had, oh yeah, like I used to be really diligent, I was really in shape, but then I've taken even 2 months off, right? Okay, we're gonna see where you're at.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna give you a full-blown workout and expect you to do the whole thing. And if you're starting, let's say even a class workout where it's like, okay, everybody's doing the same workout. If you're not doing well partway through, or if you've clearly hit like if we're doing a technical portion and you've clearly like, okay, well, we're starting to see the technique breakdown, you're done. I don't care that you did 2 sets and everybody else is doing 5. I don't care. Like it's unreasonable, because
Yeah.
you're getting back into it. And we need to get your body used to it. And the most important thing is that you're here trying. And that is exactly what I would say to a client. From a musical perspective, same deal, right? So you wouldn't expect a beginner student to practice 2 hours a day or more. That's insane. Like a brand new baby beginner who has no embouchure? Oh no, 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 no. You
No,
will die.
but
Like,
we've how many of us didn't really practice much during the pandemic? I mean, how many of us
right,
took months off? It was nice.
right,
Like I had nothing to
right.
work for, didn't want to
Yeah,
focus on other things. But then you go back and
yeah,
like, I should practice. You go back to practice and
yeah,
you're sore after 10 minutes or you're tired.
yeah.
Like, that's okay.
Yes.
You
At least
didn't
you're
go
doing
backwards,
something.
but now
Right,
you have to rebuild again. And that is okay. You can't just
right.
automatically jump back into that 2 hour session that they used to do. That's
But
okay.
I see people doing
Have
that.
some grace.
But I see people doing that, right?
I
They're like,
know.
"Oh, well, but I have a gig now, and so I have to, and I'm in pain, but what should I do about it?" I'm like, "Well,
So,
you should not practice that much."
mhm.
Like, if you were teaching a beginner student or an intermediate student who they were, let's say they went overseas for 2 months to visit some family for some, like family member passed away overseas, they couldn't bring their instrument. They had to go for 2 months. They come back. You're not gonna expect them to jump right back into the same routine. At least you shouldn't. If they're coming back and they're like, "Man, my face is really tired," and they're like, "Clarinet, okay, you're starting to get that bunchy chin, and you're starting to bite," like, you're done.
Stop.
You're done because the next step is jaw pain,
Yeah.
and you're only if even if you're not worried about pain, you're just reinforcing a bad habit. It doesn't
Mhm,
do anything. Doesn't do
mhm,
anything positive. Same thing with the gym.
mhm.
So if you're coming back to the gym, or
It's
if
fun to
you're a
be a beginner
beginner,
again sometimes.
yeah, it's
Have
just
fun with
that
it.
give yourself some grace, don't feel like you have to do everything all at once again. Shoot, I started one of my favorite experimental workout cycles during the shutdown. So like my workouts stopped for a couple weeks. It was really minimal because we had no equipment.
You'd had no.
We didn't know what was going on. We were in the house for 2 weeks. We had, I think, some bands and a couple stones in the backyard, and that was it.
Yeah, well, when
And
this whole thing started, we had no idea. Nobody had
you know,
anything.
no, and we were one of the first people who thought we were exposed. So we were literally locked in the house for 2 weeks, didn't go anywhere, do anything.
Right.
And it's like, do we feel
Yeah.
okay? Yes. So we're okay. Well, we'll do some banded stuff. We'll do some, but you can only do so much with limited equipment, and especially when you're just trying to figure out, well, what can I do? And I'm not very good with. I have to work at stones to be good with them. So that was an even bigger problem. I did all my banded stuff, and I'm like, but I'm still struggling with the fundamentals of the stone at the time. Anyway, you know, so my point was we'd gone from that to, okay, well, now I'm in worse shape and working out of a garage, and I had my sandbags back and some weights, and it was good. But I'm like, man, I have no motivation, no structure, no idea what I'm doing with myself. And um, so I'd been just doing a lot of sandbag carries and loading, you know. And then I sign up for this program that is like, it was literally called the Meathead Muscle Program. I'm not I loved it. It was
That's
so
fun.
I love it. I love it to pieces. It's awesome.
A beefcake.
Stuffed beefcake. Yeah. I think that's where it came from actually was that cycle. Like
Okay, this is a tangent, but there was a guy I dated for about 5 seconds, and a nice guy, super nice guy, but I was like, this is not gonna work out. But okay, so you say beefcake. He went on the tangent with like calling himself beefcake, but he said there was this story. He was like downtown somewhere, and this, I don't know, he was in his 30s, and this 50-year-old woman come up, and she's drunk as crap, and she comes up and whatever. I don't remember what the story was, but basically she's all like hanging on his arm, and she didn't call him a beefcake, she called him a beef castle. Anytime I think of that, that's what I think of.
I would have run with that if I were him. Been like Beef Castle.
That's his new nickname.
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
I would take that.
Yeah. So if I call you Beef Castle, there you go.
That's fine. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Too funny.
But
So anyway,
Uh,
meathead muscle, what?
so yeah. So we're starting this back up, and by this point, most people had been fully locked up for months. I mean, months. Because a
Yeah.
lot of them were over in Europe too. And we get on the first call because it was a weekly call, and then 3 or 4 days a week of lift on your own and come back and weekly call, talk about it, talk about questions, stuff like that.
Cool.
And the preparatory call, guy who's running it, he goes, "Okay, I know a lot of you are power lifters. I know a lot of you are CrossFitters. I know a lot of you are competitive." He goes, "Unless you've been continuing to do your regularly scheduled program unbroken," he goes, "I don't want you working off of your former percents." Because he had, percents, but he told us right off the bat, these are rough percents. He goes,
Mhm.
"I don't want you working off of your former maxes." He goes, "Because you won't know what they are. And in a lot of ways,
Right.
this is good." Because the goal was, I don't care what the percent is. This is just a range. It should be, here's your number of reps. It should be really difficult to finish that last rep. It's even okay if you get, like, say the rep is, it's 10 reps per set. If you stop at 9, you can't get 10. That's fine.
Yep.
Like, but he's saying this, like
See, yeah.
a bunch of competitive people is like, you can't use your percents. You have to go based on feel. And if you're restarting, this was the point of all this. If you're restarting or if you're getting back into it, you don't know what you can do anymore. And that's
Yeah.
okay. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get past where you were, but if you come
Right.
back in and you're like, "Oh man, yeah, I could rep 225. That was a warm up weight for me on deadlift, and my max is 315. And so okay, we're gonna deadlift today. Great, I can warm up with 225." And your body goes, "No, you can't."
No, you can't. You're like, but you
Like,
can cry all you want. No, you can't.
right? Don't try to force that because the next step is
Mhm.
back pain. You know.
Yeah. So funny story that goes on with one of my clients. He, if you guys saw what I posted on my story, well, by the time you're seeing this, will be gone. But he follows this guy. Oh, I forget his name. McMichael, maybe he has this alternate persona, Maxim Liftoff, Russian guy with the mullet. It's so funny. But he's got this program out right now. He calls it Dead December instead of December. It's Dead December.
Nice.
All about deadlifting.
Nice.
And my client Jason is just obsessed with deadlifts, and he like always wants to have a PR. And he always wants to have max, and we can't do that every week.
No,
And he
no,
like
it doesn't.
anytime that he's like, well, he's got this number. It's like it's 264.5. Well, guess what? Yesterday or whatever, we did 266
Right.
for 2, and before it was
Right.
264.5 for 1. So it's like,
Right.
dude, this is great. But there were a couple weeks before, he was struggling to hit 230, 220, whatever it was, and he was all frustrated. Right. Like, it's part of the process. You can't PR every time. You cannot. I mean,
No.
it's
No.
difficult, and it's
Yeah.
this comparison thing. I mean, and he got frustrated.
Right.
And he's trying to apologize. Like, what?
Right.
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 Like, be nice to yourself. This is part of it. You have ups and downs and highs and lows and cycles, and
Yes.
your body has to recover, and it can't be all the time.
Right. No, and it's not going to be. And that's why you'll see competitive athletes, they are always cycling. And
Yeah.
especially in strength sports, there's a lot of concern about, you'll see article after article. Just Google it, peaking too early in strength sports. Just Google it. You will get so many results. I haven't Googled it, and I am willing to bet money on that. Like, but that's how it goes, is that it's cyclical. You need a certain amount of rest in order to be at your strongest. But if you rest too long, then you get weaker. And like, once you use up your strength, your body is going to start decreasing, and it's cyclical,
You know what? You can't always have a good tone day.
Mm-mm.
Days you get crappy tone days.
Right.
I mean, you ever pick it up and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna, I sound terrible. My lips are not with it. Like, it doesn't feel right. You're just,
yeah.
Yep. But then other days you pick it up, it's amazing.
Yeah. There have been practice sessions where I've just put the instrument down. I'm like, this ain't happening today.
Today is not the day.
It's not, I can't get anything done.
Nope.
And I had to learn how to do that too, with the whole, oh, but I've got a gig and I've got to practice this. if it ain't happening on the instrument, I'll set it down and I'll just listen to the piece. Like, is it
Mental
the best
practice
thing
has
in the world?
value.
But right, right. Like, you just have to understand where you are on a given day. Are you going to make yourself better or worse by pushing? And just be gentle, just be nice. And beyond, it's especially don't compare yourself to where you were if you're starting back up. And
Oh gosh, yeah.
I don't care if you're a lifter or a runner and like, oh yeah, I used to run, 5K was an average run for me. And yeah, but then you sat on the couch for 2 months.
Oh my gosh. Anytime I get back on my bike, I think, how did I do 100 miles?
Yeah.
Multiple times in 1 year. I get out there, I'm like, it's been 9 miles. I'm good. 9. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
you worked up to that, Angela. You basically
Yeah.
dedicated your entire year to cycling. I didn't really lift as much. It takes so much time. Like you've been focused on your business, not your bike. Cycling
Yeah.
takes freaking forever amount of time. You're
Yeah.
not doing that. That's okay. I mean, and I had to get in my own head, being like, that's not your goal. You don't
Right.
do you really want to devote that much time to do 100 miles because
Yeah.
I'm slow? Takes me 9 hours of actual riding time, 7 to 9 hours. You're getting off then we're talking like a 12-hour thing. That's the whole day.
Right.
That, I've got
Right.
I mentioned this before. I have a friend who we bike together sometimes, and she's like, well, if I don't even do 30 miles, it's not even worth getting kitted up for. I'm like, that's a toxic mindset. Let me get rid of that because it's stuck in my head. And every time I go out, I'm like, I just want to get out and enjoy it. And now
Yes.
I'm out with that same sense of, like we talked about with Focal Dystonia, same sense of exploration, curiosity, how
Yeah.
do I feel? And I
Yeah.
can stop and be like, I'm not in it today. You don't have to push yourself every time,
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Hey, sneeze. Or not. There we go. Okay. Really loud in the microphone. But
Yeah.
it's hard to come from that mindset of like I always want to go farther or go more elevated
Right.
or go longer or what.
Right.
When that was my goal, was to get my speed faster, to go longer, to
Hmm.
building on that. Now I'm just like, Angela, you want to ride your bike for fun, for pleasure, for relaxation, for get
Yes.
brain getting out of the house, because no one can talk to me.
Hmm.
I can't be on my phone, I can't be posting, I can't be anything.
Yeah.
I don't want to make this into a punishment.
Right.
Your goals are different. Sure, you did 100 miles. Sure, you did 70 miles by yourself that one day for fun. I don't know what's wrong with me. You did 30 miles on it, whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
be happy with your 9, 12, 13, 20, whatever it feels like. And, it's just, I have these days where it's like, oh, it's perfect weather,
Hmm.
the time, and I don't want to go. And I have to so stop myself from feeling guilty about it. Like, who says you have to ride your bike if the weather's great and you have time?
Right.
Did you do anything physical today or tomorrow? Or, like maybe I did my 3 sets of bicep curls and some shoulder presses and some lunges and some squats or whatever.
Yeah.
My brain says that's nothing. That's not enough. You didn't take a couple of hours. You didn't sweat. You didn't whatever. I'm like, it's okay to be where you are and enjoy
Yeah.
where you are. You don't always have to be pushing for this massive goal, right?
Right.
Sometimes the goal
Right.
is just about getting back to the enjoyment of the process and enjoyment what
Hmm.
you're doing. And then,
Hmm.
getting back to consistency. That's what my goal is
Yes.
right now.
Yeah. And
Consistency,
if
building that.
you've built consistency and enjoyment, then you can go back after the big goal and you'll actually be successful. But if you come in with that, like it's not enough right away, well, you're going to quit before you even start,
Yep. I
you
think
know?
it's point for us to take a little break.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Welcome back to the Tuned and Strong podcast. Before the break, we were talking about building consistency, being gentle with yourself, and just being with yourself where you are at the gym, whether you're getting back to it or a beginner. But what you had said a few minutes ago, it's more than a few minutes ago. What you had said at the beginning of the recording was the thing that we keep seeing is that comparison is the thief of joy. Um, and I think we pretty well unpacked that when we're talking about self comparison, right? Like, well, I used to do this and I used to, but there's also the external comparison. external comparison as the thief of joy. And I see that a lot. I'm coaching out of it's a small gym, but it's very strongman based. A lot of people who sign up for competitions, they're signing up mostly for fun. There's some people who want a pro card, but there's average people, there's competitive people, tight knit community. And even within my group class, we get some people in there who everybody's making progress.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a lot of ladies. I've got some ladies who are coming off of injuries. One was in a really, 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 really bad car accident, and it wasn't just the accident. The accident was bad enough. There were surgeries after that, hospitalizations, but then months of just having to rest and recover,
Mm.
right, and work a desk job.
Frustrating. Ugh.
So, and that then years of just like, well, I can't, so I'm not going to. And so a lot of coming to work with me is, well, every time I try to do everything else, I just get hurt. I can't do it. I can't do it. I've got back pain. I've got back pain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we started so small, and we're making great progress. It's really, I'm super proud of this particular client, doing amazingly well. But we get a new client in, and this new client happens to be, so the injured client is a woman, not particularly tall, and the new client is 6'3", if I had to guess. 6'2", 6'3", very tall. I think ex-football player, but if not ex-football player, should have been a football player. Big,
Right?
bulky dude, strong,
A large man.
large man. So we got petite woman, large man, petite injured woman, large man. And I'll see the first client. So we worked on squats the other day, and the new client, big, large man, feels comfortable squatting. So of course he's repping over 300, no problem. That's fine. Like, okay, and starting to show me some stuff, whatever. But she'd finished her sets earlier. She was on a safety bar, squatting to a box with like, I think tens on
Mm-hmm.
it. So who's that? 65 pounds?
Yeah.
And so she's watching the new one squat. I think it was like 345, 355, just for two.
You cannot.
And she just like, I'm over there squatting like the bar, basically. And he's over here squatting this massive, and you can tell it bothers her. And I'm like, but a year ago, you couldn't squat an empty bar for one without your back flaring up.
Mm-hmm.
You just did sets. I think it was like 6 sets
Holy cow.
of tempo. Pause. Box
So
squats
explain what
on a
tempo
bar.
means to people who
Okay.
don't know.
Yes. So standard squat, down, up, done. Tempo means you have to control the descent. I think it was like a 6 count down too. Like it was
Wow,
a long tempo.
that's a
Yeah,
long
I've
negative.
been, mhm. And the negatives are the hardest part. So coming
They
down,
are.
she 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The pause.
Pause.
Oh, wow.
1, 2. I'm
That's
pretty
some
sure that was
progress.
tempo. Yeah, I'm like, a year ago you couldn't do any squat with an empty bar. You did tempo, which is harder, with a pause on a bar with weight on it
Mm-hmm.
for 6 sets.
Man, that's
And I'm like, a year ago. And she's like, well, a year ago I couldn't even squat a sandbag. I'm like, I know. Like you can't compare yourself to somebody else. That is going to, and I've seen this happen several times with this particular. I'm like, you need to look at you. You need to look at you, where you came from, where you're going, and of course where you're at today, right?
Mhm.
Because they've all had days where we've talked about, like it's just not happening. That's fine. You showed up.
Mhm.
But if you're brand new and you're in a setting where somebody is a lot bigger than you or even smaller than you but has been doing it a lot longer or even just is built different, doesn't have the same background, like, man, don't look right and left and let that get under your skin. You got to be where you are and not where, because I'm looking at, again, the new client squatting 340, 50, whatever it was. And I'm like, yeah, but there's an issue there. And I can see it.
Hmm.
He can go heavier, but not safely.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like by the time we get some structural work done on this dude, he should be like 500 easy. But
Nice.
yeah,
That's fun.
but
Man, that's fun.
I don't expect that out of the injured client. If we can get her to, if we can get her to 100 in another year, that would be an incredible accomplishment because of what she's been through.
Sure. But she's
But you
just
got,
comparing herself to big dude over here.
yeah,
It's
we
robbing her
talk,
of her joy.
yeah, we talked her out of it. But man, if you're at the gym alone, you don't have somebody to talk you out of it. Like,
Yep.
you need to be prepared to talk yourself out of it. You can't
You
do
need to
that
put
to
some
yourself.
blinders on, put
Yeah,
some headphones in,
right,
just stare at you in the mirror, focus on what you're doing. Don't look around.
right. If you're going to look around, look at it as inspiration for where you could get to,
There you go. Because you
not
don't
where you
know where
could
people
be.
are.
Right.
Those people are in their heads or in their journey. All you can see is external. They don't know
Yes.
who you are in your head or in your journey.
Right. Right.
Right?
And if you're
Hard. It's
if you're
hard.
brand new to a gym too and you're just getting started, like, oh, the pressure is so, it's so weird, right? Because
Yeah, it
if
is.
you're a beginner in particular, you're like, well, I don't even know what I'm doing and I'm around all these people who seem to know what they're doing. But side note, most of them don't.
No.
just so you know, most of them don't know what they're doing. But you're coming in and you're like, even if you know what you're doing, it's okay. What's the vibe here? Who's going to get in my business? Who's not?
Yeah.
Um, especially as a woman. Who's going to get in my business? Who's not? You know? And
Yeah.
then depending on what you're doing and what setting you're in. So, like I said, I coach out of a strongman gym, which I love, but they are all hard all the time. Like you have to,
Yeah.
it's got to be big numbers and you have to hit at least this much and it's got to look like this and you should just be, and it's a lot of showing effort instead
Yeah.
of doing effort,
Doing
but
effort.
we'll leave that alone. So then, my class gets in there and I'm very different. Like, not that we're not moving big weights, but I focus on structure first. And so we do a lot of things that look odd. I don't care that they look odd. My class doesn't care that they look odd, but you get the looks. Like, what are you guys doing over there? Like, we're building core,
Yeah,
go
yeah, yeah.
away. Like, what are you guys doing? And it's that like, well, we don't do that. That's I don't and it's almost that like, well, you're kind of wasting your time with this. I don't know why you would do that.
It's
And
none of
it's
your
funny
business.
because the people who so most of the people are doing the workouts on the board, which is part of the membership at that gym,
Yeah.
but they'll pick and choose.
Yeah.
So they're all doing the workouts written by the owner, but I only see the ones who are doing the one-on-ones with the owner. They're doing similar weird off-kilter stuff like
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah.
But the majority is just like, no, we're just gonna like, I don't need to do that part. I'm not doing ab wheels. I'm not,
Those are hard.
whatever
Ooh.
it is that they don't want to do for that
Yeah.
particular. No, I don't need to do that. I did my main lifts. I'm gonna go home now. Um,
Yeah.
so
That's
if
I
you,
mean, then that's in a big box normal gym.
yeah. So people are
And
gonna look
fitness
at
too.
you, and it's okay that they look at you
Hmm.
because and at first it feels like, oh well, I need to just stop because this is clearly not right and it's clearly not. This is where that trust yourself, trust your process, get you somebody that you do trust who knows what they're doing, a good coach. Stick with them. You
Mm.
better believe in them because you're going to get looks no matter what you're doing and who you
Yeah.
hire. And even if you're doing all that weird stuff, you're going to get looks. Um, but the end result is after being there for, we haven't even been at that particular location for a year yet. And after so long of like, I don't know what you guys are doing. It looks weird. It looks funny. I don't understand it. They're now looking at my clients going, wow, they've put on a lot of muscle. They're moving,
Yeah.
they're moving big weight. That's a big jump for them. Like,
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't worry about what the people around you. If you're doing a good program, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what approach it is. If you're doing a good program and you're doing it consistently and you're actually doing everything that's assigned to you, you're going to do things that somebody's going to think is weird. You're going to get looks, and it's okay.
It doesn't matter. That's on them. That's their
I
thing.
I have never gotten a weird look, mind you, from anybody who actually knew what they were doing.
Correct. That's say that again for the people in the back. Never gotten a weird look from
Never
anybody who
gotten a weird look.
actually knew what they were doing.
Only from the people who I won't finish that sentence.
Okay. So so my gym is a personal training only gym.
Mhm.
Every trainer there has their own style, their own way that they do things. And I have seen some bizarre things. And after 5, 6, 8, I don't know how long years I've been there. 5 years, I don't know. I still think some of the stuff some of these people doing is weird. I don't get it, but their clients stick with them for years. They get the results they want. That's why like finding the right person to be your coach is what matters, because it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks is cool or not. What are your goals? What's, and then you got to find the person with that style. There's this one guy. I mean, he does a whole bunch of rotational stuff and gymnastic type stuff and handstands. And there's another guy I don't know what he does. I have no idea. Zero idea, but his clients love him. It's a lot of weird mobility stuff, but then I'll watch him go snatch, jerk, clean 250 pounds. Dude is a beast. Okay. But then he does some real weird, I have no idea what he's doing. Zero idea. After 5 years, I still have no idea. But then one day he came over, he goes, hey, I noticed you're trying to work on your squat. Side note, I detest squats. They're not fun. My hips don't like them. And he goes, hey, I noticed that. You ever tried this? I'm like, no, show me everything. And he's like, yeah, you do blah, 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 get down way down in the bottom. My butt was on fire for 2 days after just sitting in that squat like that. I'm like, dude knows what he's talking about. Who cares? Yeah.
Right.
How weird it is. And that's what I like about this gym is like everybody's, and people look at me like, what is she doing? You know, all of us do weird stuff, but we all appreciate our idiosyncrasies, you know? Yeah. And that's what's cool because, you know, my new clients will come in and they'll see a trainer doing something odd with somebody. And I'm like, don't worry about them. They're not looking at us either. You're going to see some weird stuff in here. We're going to do some weird stuff in here.
Oh, yeah.
Our brand of weird. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what makes it fun, actually. There's a lot of time in that gym, too. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that people bring in, like just games and balance work. It's just fun. It's a good place to be.
Yeah, and that's what you want. You want, and you know, I'm sitting here complaining about a little bit of the environment at mine, and don't get me wrong, I actually really like it. It's just, you know, some of they're not even bad people. They just don't get it, and I'm like, it's okay. It's actually like, this is going to sound really demeaning. I don't mean it as demeaning as it sounds, but it's like, oh, that's cute. Thank you, honey. I appreciate your concern. Go play with your barbell. I'll talk to you in a few minutes because they're good to hang out with, but like,
bros.
But the coaches, bless them. But the other coaches, and especially the owner is really, really knowledgeable. I love working there when he's there because he and we steal from each other openly.
Oh yeah.
It's wonderful. Like
we do that. All the coaches where I work, you find people, you see, you end up stealing from each other. Nobody says anything, but then you look around, and you're like, I was doing that with a client yesterday. I see you doing it. Take stuff.
Mm-hmm. Kind
of a compliment.
Oh, absolutely. I see my stuff and my workouts on the board workouts, and I'm like, I got you. Like,
yep.
It's not necessarily even like it's something that you know, the other coach wouldn't know. It's just maybe they hadn't thought about it. Maybe they hadn't been doing it for a little bit, and all of a sudden,
there's a lot of creativity that goes around too. It's
great.
You see the same exercise people do all the time, but then you get these 5 different coaches doing that same exercise in one day, 5 different ways, or 5 progressions or regressions, or with different implements that are like, oh, I'm using that.
Yeah.
Oh, I could use that with some. It's you know, it's fun, but comparison, thief of joy.
Right. Curiosity. Why would they think that? What are they missing? what are they looking at? Because I mean, they do some stuff that I don't do. The bros, they do. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm going to call them bros.
You
I'm not
should.
saying that it doesn't help. Like I detest the concept of shrugs.
Yep. I know.
That they irk me. They irk me to no end because I have yet to work with somebody who did not have overdeveloped traps
Mm-hmm.
and underdeveloped lats.
Yep.
I'm like,
Or underdeveloped flow traps.
yeah. And you know what?
They don't exist in
If
a
you're
lot of
just
people.
doing shrug, 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 well, these are already tight on most people.
Mm-hmm.
You're just cranking them down more.
I
Is
don't
that,
have headaches.
you know? And is that going to help you get like a ridiculously big deadlift? Possibly. Is it going to help you with farmers carries again, strongman stuff? Possibly. Probably. If you're looking to max, 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 yes.
Will it
But
help you with your bodybuilding symmetry? Yes.
but
But
like for me, my goal is always do everything from a healthy approach.
mm-hmm.
Like if you want to compete, great, do it healthy.
I don't think I've ever given anybody shrugs ever.
No, I hate shrugs.
Ever.
I don't find them to be useful for my people or me or most yeah, anyway. So, but
Tangent time. But yeah, keeping your eyes on your own prize. What is your goal? What is it that you want to accomplish? And not comparing yourself to other people, not comparing yourself to where you were. Sometimes it's good to have that benchmark of, yeah, I did accomplish that, but I'm at a different point in life. I have
absolutely.
goals. I have different I'm stopping comparing myself to graduate school. I mean, I think about it in a way where it reminds me of, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm in a phase right now where I'm remembering how to lose weight the way I want to. And it's not, there are all these different ways to do it, but now it's like, how about you go at this with a sense of curiosity? What is your body telling you want to eat? Now you know what you need to eat, but then let's just tune into our hunger cues. How are our hunger cues? And you just kind of have some grace with yourself and be like, yeah. So you remember where you were as a sense of, like, yeah, I can do this as what's the word, inspiration.
Yes.
But not a comparison as this is where I should be.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to enjoy my 2 sets of this and my 2 sets of that. And my workout might take 10 minutes instead of an hour. But if I do 3 to 5 10-minute workouts in 1 week instead of 1 hour workout.
Yeah, that's better.
Much better. Much better. My goal is to build consistency. I got to get in the habit and remember why I like doing it.
Yeah.
And that sometimes all you need are those little reminders.
Yeah. It's easier, and I keep telling my clients this too on certain movements. It's easier to expand something that you're already doing correctly than it is to start from scratch trying to do the whole thing all at once. Right. So that was a really long-winded way of saying. So your 10-minute workout's going to be easier to go, oh, well, I can do 15 today. Well, I can do 20 today as you go. Same thing with like, well, I can't squat to depth. So are you squatting? Does it feel okay? Are you getting your glutes? Are you getting your hamstrings? Great. Range is easy. Sensation is not.
Yep.
Getting the stuff activated so you can go progressively lower. Doing it consistently. That's what's hard. You're showing up, you're doing it, we're doing well.
It's just like playing an instrument. You don't show up being able to play the Nielsen concerto. I mean, it took me a year to learn that thing at a high level.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't just show up, boom. You think when you were a kid and you started, for me, great. And yes, I was that obsessive kid that was always in the band room, always practicing constantly. I mean, missed the bus time because whoops, mom was not happy about that. But like, how do you fault your kid for being like, I have to practice? You missed the bus? I mean, that's a good kid. Okay, that's a good kid, but I'm still mad at you, But
right.
I don't think I was practicing hours at a time. I was practicing probably hours a day, but it was all in chunks anytime I could grab them. And that's because I wasn't injured as a beginner.
No. And And your routine. I mean, we've talked about just your practice routine alone has changed
Oh
throughout the
yeah.
years.
And it's going to continue to change.
Yeah. Anytime your routine changes, you've got to change your approach. That's
Hmm.
okay. It's just unreasonable to think that you can. You're talking about that grad school level, and I'm
Oh
thinking
yeah.
like, yeah, for my master's was probably shy of. No, I'd say my master's was probably the most number of hours I ever practiced in a day
You know, yeah.
because I had the time to do it. I had
And
the
that was your
space to do it,
life.
and
That's what you were there for.
it was my life. I had my scholarship money. Yes, I was working, but they were set hours for the most
Hmm.
part. I could predict them. My home life was pretty much taken care of.
Yeah.
You know, I had a very solid routine. But again, you think about, was it just that I wasn't wanting to practice more during undergrad? No, my schedule looked different. Was it that I
Mhm.
wasn't wanting to practice more during high school? No, my schedule looked very different.
Mhm.
My schedule looks different now. So to sit here and go, well, as a master's student, I was practicing, X number of hours per day. And
So what?
okay, I can't do that now. I can't. And just
I can't either.
realistically, if I
I don't
tried to
want to.
practice, no, I would just hate the clarinet all the time. I'd hate it.
Mhm.
Like,
Something that this reminds me of this. It's easier to maintain your gains than to build them.
yeah. Yep.
So it's easier to maintain strength what you've got. It's harder to build strength than it is
Yes.
to maintain it. So remember that. So if you're like, man, did I, sure, I used to ride 100 miles and now I'm like 9, 13, 20 is fine. But I have that base in me still. I built up to it one time. It's going to be much faster the next
You
time
do it again.
for me to get back to that point. Same
Yes.
practicing, same with whatever strength. So if
Mhm.
like, well, I haven't been lifting forever, never, never, and now I'm getting back to it, it's still there. It's much easier to maintain that basis of strength
Yeah.
or ability, even if you've taken time off, than it is
Yeah.
to build it in anything.
Yeah.
So keep that.
Yes.
You're not as
Yes.
far behind as you think you are.
No, but you're gonna be far behind if you try to jump straight back into 100%.
Right.
You have to ramp yourself back up. It's going to have to happen.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Enjoy
That's a
the
good thing.
process.
Yeah.
Enjoy
Like your
enjoy
body.
the discovery of where you are now. And
Yeah.
then compare it to the discovery of where you were the first time. What's different? That's kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Like your body knows where it wants to be. Just give it a chance and give it a
Mhm.
chance to be happy about it. So
Be happy.
yeah.
I know, right? Please just be happy with where you are. So easy to say, not so easy to do.
Right.
Right?
Look for ways. Look for ways to win every time, even if it's
Yeah.
small. Even if it's
Celebrate
small. I
those
think we
little
did a whole
wins. Like,
podcast on that.
celebrating the little wins.
Yeah, yeah. I think we
Heck
did a
yeah.
podcast on um shoot, brain stopped. Sorry.
Celebrating the little wins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Celebrate that. And if you guys are not doing a do you have a book, like a workout book where you write your sets and reps and weights and all that kind of exercise and stuff? You ever kept one of those or a practice journal?
I have I encourage certain clients and students to do so. They don't work for me very well.
Fair
They
enough.
don't, but that's
Fair
fine.
enough. So I've been lifting forever. I started getting serious about it, in grad school and then after grad school. And then I hired a coach and the motor. And so I kept one of these body minder journals. So I found I've got a whole stack of my closet back here. I'm cleaning out crap and just throwing out a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, look at my old, where was I? What did that look like? When I'm thinking I'm here, what did that really look like? And I noticed, there was one time I was doing like 3 sets of 5 and then 2 sets of 8. But I would go back, okay, where was I before that? I was doing, the volume was different. Okay, so actually I wasn't doing that much, but I went every day. And then it just kind of clicked in my brain. I'm like, well, what else did I do? So just going back and seeing where I was, and I also like my weight and like who I was coaching, who's coaching me, like what I was eating. And like I got obsessive about it. But at least now I have that record. I can go back and be like, oh, that's what I did. Oh.
Yeah.
And then it's because you know how we put rose-colored glasses on our past and we remember the good. Yeah, like also being able to look at that was like, oh yeah, that's where I was. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
To go back and see that kind of stuff. Right?
Yes.
And I was not lifting as much as I thought it was. Levi says little. You know, I was going consistently. Like I just doing my consistency. Okay, well, I'll just start there. See what that looks for me now as a 41-year-old. Not 27 anymore.
Yeah. And usually the consistency is the key factor. Everything else comes after that. Mm-hmm. So cool. Actually, I've never found that to not be true.
Right, exactly. Yep. But it's easy to gloss over that in the pursuit of big reps and long workouts and whatnot.
Yeah. No. You don't need it. You just need to be there. That's all.
Yeah, like I had a day the other day. I was like, I'm gonna do my little 10-minute workout, and then you know what? Actually, I'm just gonna go. My gym is right here. I've got a set of dumbbells. I'm just gonna do some shoulder presses. I'm just gonna do some triceps. I'm just gonna do some rows. Like throughout the day. Yeah. You feel like that's not a real workout because you just did one set of whatever. That's one more set. I mean, it sounds cliche, but it's one more set than I was doing before, which was 0. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Like if I keep my flute out, I see it. I'll pick it up, play a scale, play a little bit, 10 minutes here and there, more than what I was doing before, which was nothing. You know, you see it. It's there. There's value in that. Don't just
there is
stuff. It's good.
Yes, there is.
Yep. And this is Levi, in case you're watching.
Yep. Cat visit.
Yep. I think that's a good spot for us to stop today.
I think so. I think we covered everything we needed to. Yeah. So if you're watching, if you have any comments on the subject, any questions, hit us up, comments below. Subscribe, please, if you haven't already.
Share with friends.
Share with your friends. That's the new thing for the algorithms.
Yes.
So yeah, your music friends, family, anybody that you think could find this useful, please share.
Yes. Thank you for listening, guys. Until next time. Hey, musicians, did you know that up to 90% of musicians will experience playing-related pain or injury over the course of their career? How many hushed conversations have you heard about a lingering, quote, shoulder pain or a weird tingling in your fingers? Or maybe low back pain or a crampy weakness, or maybe you or your colleague just says, I just have to get through the gig. And you watch them pop Advil like candy, maybe flush it down with whiskey. How many times have we seen something like this? So many, right? Well, it's time we start talking about our struggles, our pain, our frustrations in a private space where we don't just complain and mobilize and blindly stretch, but we learn how to strengthen our muscles, our career successes, and build each other up. I've got a brand new program that combines all of these things, and I want you to be a part of it. It's a community, not a workout. It's a community with group coaching and great content that in 12 weeks will have you understanding more about your body, what you need, and how you work so you can avoid that career-threatening injury. The 3 things that musicians don't want. We don't want to be injured. We don't want to have a lack of stamina. And we don't want to be clueless. AKA, when you hurt, who do you go see? Just a, quote, doctor? Well, this program addresses all of those things. You're going to walk away with an immense knowledge of who to see. You're going to be empowered because you're going to know what to do should you ever get injured, or should you have a colleague that gets injured. You will be able to actually offer appropriate advice. You're also going to learn about the body and the anatomy as it relates to playing your instrument and your own anatomy. And then you're going to learn how to build not just your strength and endurance, but you're going to learn how to design your own corrective exercise program. So I hope you will join me in this new program. It's called the Music Strong Pilot Program, Job Security for Musicians.